All right, so in this video, we are still talking about business mathematics, mathematics of money. So in this particular video, we are going to be talking about business calculus. So the first question here says we should calculate the minima, determine the minima and maxima of the function this. Now, before you determine the minimum or the maximum value, the first thing you should calculate is the minimum or maximum. The first thing you calculate is the critical point. So the first thing we're going to calculate is the critical point. And you should know that at critical point, that the first derivative or the y dx is 0. Okay, so the first you tell them that at critical point that f prime of x, f prime means first derivative must be equal to 0. So for us to get f prime of x simply means we should differentiate this, and differentiation simply means multiply by the power, remove 1 from the power. So multiply by the power, remove 1 from the power. So if we multiply by the power, I'm going to have 3 multiplied by 1 over 3x raised to power 3. So if I remove 1, it will now be, okay, 3 minus 1, remove 1 from the power, minus, multiply by the power again, 2 multiplied by 5 over 2, x raised to power 2 minus 1, plus, multiply by the power again, 1 times 6x raised to power 1 minus 1. Then differentiation of a constant that does not have x is 0. So I'm having that this cancel this. I'm left with this minus this, you have x squared. And don't forget that they say that this first derivative is equal to 0. So x squared, so f prime of x, okay, is equal to x squared minus this, take care of this, I have 5x, because this minus this is just raised power 1. Okay, then plus 1 times 6 is giving us just 6. And 1 minus 1 is 0. So anything raised power 0 is gone. Or the differentiation of 6x that does not have power is simply 6. You can just see that differentiation of anything that does not have power is the coefficient. Okay, so and we say that this is equal to 0. So let us now factorize it. Factorization, or you use your quadratic formula or use calculator to find the value of x. So by factorization, I'm going to have x squared minus this is 2x minus 3x, then plus 6 is equal to 0. So from here, I'm now going to factorize to have that this is x into x minus 2. This is x minus 2. So I'm having minus 3 outside is equal to 0. So x minus 2 and x minus 3, okay, is equal to 0. So when the product of two things is 0, automatically one of them must be 0. So we say that either x minus 2 is 0 or x minus 3 is 0. Finally, we have that x is equal to 2 or x is equal to what? 3. Now, these are the 2 points we have, but we don't know the one that is minimum and the one that is maximum. So for us to test the one that is minimum or maximum, we have to differentiate again. We have to find the second derivative. So to find the second derivative is what? F prime prime. We want to test. F prime prime of x means the f prime of x differentiated. So this f prime of x, which we got as this, we have to differentiate it again. So we multiply by the power and remove 1 from the power. So this one is giving us 2x. And differentiation of minus 5x will give us just minus 5. So from here, we will now test these 2 points to know the one that is minimum and the one that is maximum. So f, when at x equal to 2, we have f prime prime of 2 is equal to 2 into 2 minus 5, which will give you 4 minus 5, which is equal to what? Minus 1. And minus 1 is less than what? 0. Whenever you get less than 0, it means maximum, please. Whenever you get less than 0, it means what? Maximum. So this point will give us the maximum point. So this is maximum. This is for maximum. So now we now test the other one. At x equal to 3, so we now have that f prime prime of 3 will now be 2 into 3 minus 5, which will give you 6 minus 5, which will give you what? 1. Okay, and this is greater than, which is greater than 0. If you have greater than 0, we call it minimum, the minimum point. Okay, so we know that x equal to 3 will give us the minimum value, and x equal to 2 will give us the maximum value. So for us to get the minimum and the maximum value, we will now have to substitute it back here. So for minimum value, we have that x must be equal to what? 3. So we now have that f of 3 will now be equal to what? 1 over 3 into 3 raised to power 3 minus 5 over 2 into 3 raised to power 2 plus 6 into 3, then plus 2. So if you solve that, you are going to have that the minimum value will give us 6.5, approximately 6.5. Okay, so for the maximum value, so permit me to clean here. So for the maximum value, you tell them for maximum value is where x is equal to 2, the other one. So we now have that f of 2 simply means anywhere I see x here, I'll put 2. 1 over 3 into 2 raised to power 3 minus 5 into 2 raised to power 2 plus 6 into 2 plus 2. So you need to clear the bracket and then you find the last answer. I think for my own, I have 6.67 as my maximum value. So that is that for minimum and maximum. So I'm going to pause the question, the video, to write the next question. Okay. Okay, so the next question number 17, said we should find the elasticity of demand if the demand function is given by this, at this. Okay. Solution: the formula for elasticity of demand is given as dd over dq, dd over dq multiplied by d is on top here and q is down. So q will now be up and then d will now be down. So as simple as that. Okay. So first thing we need to find is dd over dq. So dd over dq is simply to differentiate this. And the differentiation of a constant is 0. Differentiation of minus 4q is just minus 4. Okay? So now let us put everything. So now to find our d itself, d gave us 20 minus 4q. So which is what? Our d is equal to 20 minus 4 into my q is 12. So which will give you 20 minus 48, right? 48, which will give you just 28. So if you now put it here, you now have that elasticity of demand will now give us, this one gave us minus 4 multiplied by our q is 12 over our d is 28. So if you do everything, you are going to be having approximately 1.71. That is 4 times this minus 1.71. Okay, so you can check out your own to see if it is correct. Okay, sorry, this minus this is giving us negative here, minus this. So minus has taken care of this. So my answer is just 1.71. You can do it. So this time, this divide by this. Just check what the answer will give you. And that is all for that. So I'm going to pause the video again to write the next question. Okay, so this particular question number 18, said, let the cost function C be given by this, okay? And the revenue function R will be given by this. Then I say find the maximum profit. Solution: first of all, let's get the profit function. So the profit function, don't forget that profit simply means the revenue minus the cost. Okay? Right, yes. The revenue minus the cost. That is the amount you bought it minus how much you sold it. That is what we know. Or is it the revenue minus the cost? Yes, the revenue minus the cost. The amount you sold it minus the amount it cost. So if you now put it here, you are going to be having that the revenue, which is what? 9q squared minus 3q. Then minus, put this one in bracket, the cost is q cubed minus 8q squared. So if you open the bracket, you're going to have this time this to give you minus q cubed. Okay, this and this will give you plus. So plus, okay, plus 9 plus 8 to give you 17q squared, then minus 3q. Okay, so that is our profit function. So this is our profit function. So we need the maximum profit. For us to get the maximum profit, the same method, you need to get the critical point. From the critical point, you will not check the one that will not be minimum or maximum. So to get the critical point here, we say that P prime of Q will now be, to differentiate this, differentiation of this to give you minus 3Q squared multiplied by the power removal from the power plus 17Q, then minus 3, and then the first derivative is equal to 0 to get the critical point. So moving everybody to the other side or multiplying through by minus to have 3q squared minus 17q plus 3 is equal to 0. Okay, so having this one, the next thing we are going to do is to solve by quadratic. So solve this by a quadratic formula. We say that Q is equal to minus B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. This is the quadratic formula. And my A is equal to the coefficient here, which is 3. My B is equal to the coefficient here, which is minus 17. And then my C is equal to what? The 3 behind. Okay? So having this, what do we do? If we substitute everywhere, I'm going to have that my Q will now be minus into minus 17 plus or minus the square root of minus 17 all squared minus 4 into 3, then into 3 again, everybody over 2 into 3. So when you clear it, you are going to have that the first one, Q1 will give you Q will give you 11.24 or 0.089. Okay, so these are the two things we got. Now from here, between these two people, now just do this mathematics, you get this. Between these two people, we need to check the one that will give us minimum and the one that will give us maximum. So we need to differentiate again. We need to differentiate this again. So to differentiate, P prime prime of Q will give us the second derivative. The second derivative will give you minus 6Q multiplied by the power removal from the power. So minus 6Q plus 17. So if you now put it at the first one, at Q equal to what? 11.24. Okay? Yes, at Q equal to 11.24, I'm going to have that P prime prime of that 11.24 will give you minus 6 multiplied by 11.24, then plus 17. So if you do that, you're going to have minus 33.44. You see? And this is less than 0. And I told that less than 0 means what? Means maximum. And they're asking us maximum. So this is the only one that can give us maximum point. If you test this, if you like, you can test this one to check if it is maximum or minimum. But I know that it's going to be minimum. So since this one is maximum, I will now come and put it here. You now put it in your profit. Where is it? This is my profit equation. This is the first profit equation. So the maximum profit will now be P of this 11.24 is the maximum profit, which is what? Minus into 11.24 raised to power 3, then plus 17 into 11.24 raised to power 2, then minus 3 into 11.24. So if you do everything, you are going to be getting that the maximum profit, according to what I did, gave me 693.98. Okay, so that is my own maximum profit. You can check it out by yourself and see what it will give you. So now let us do the next one. The next question II here said, for II said we should get the marginal revenue. Now anytime you hear marginal, it means to differentiate. Anytime you hear marginal, means to differentiate. So marginal revenue means we should differentiate the revenue and then substitute our Q. So marginal revenue will give you R prime, which is equal to what? Multiplied by the power, remove one from the power, that is 18Q. Differentiation of minus 3Q will give you just minus 3. So RQ of that 2, they give us that this is 2, will now give you what? 18 bracket 2 minus 3, which will give you 18 times 2, then minus 3, which will give you everything, give us 33. This is 36 minus 3, which will give you 33. That is our what? Marginal revenue at Q equal to 2. So that is that. We are going to pause the video to write the next question. Okay. Okay. So we are asked to find the y ds, given that y is equal to this. Now, whenever you have a function that is in quotient like this, we use quotient rule. Yes. So since we are going to use quotient rule, that means our u will now be the one on top, which is 2x squared exponential minus x, and then our v will now be what? The one below. Okay, so to get your du dx is to differentiate this. And if you look at this, you see that this one is another product rule, and there is a shortcut to product rule. Product rule simply say leave the first one, differentiate the second one, plus leave the second one, differentiate the first one. So let me call these two people the first one. So if I leave the first one, which is 2s squared, and differentiate e raised to power minus x, it's going to give me the same e raised to power minus x. Okay, plus I'm now leaving e raised to power minus x to differentiate this one, and the differentiation of this is multiplied by the power, remove one from the power, which will give you something like this. Okay, So that is the differentiation of this. So if you write it very well, you are going to have e raised power minus x is common. So I am left with what? 2x squared plus 4x. Okay. So now let's get dv dx. So dv dx is simply differentiation of x is 1 and differentiation of 1, which is a constant, is 0. So that is that. So formula for quotient rule say that what? dy dx is equal to, start from v and end in v, please, which is v du dx minus u dv dx all over v squared. See how I said it? If you say v, the next thing you say is du. If you say u, you will not say dv. So, and you must start from v and end in v. So v du dx minus u dv dx all over v squared. So if you substitute everybody here, you are going to have that this is equal to v, this is my v, which is x minus 1 in bracket of du dx. My du dx gave me 2x squared exponential, or which one do we use? Okay, let's use this one. They are the same thing. So, which is what? Exponential minus x in bracket of 2x squared plus 4x. Okay? Then minus u, this is my u here, which is 2x squared exponential minus x. Multiply by dv ds. dv ds gave me 1. Then all over v squared. My v squared is x minus 1 all squared. So if you permit me to continue here, if we clear the bracket here, let us use this one and multiply this one first. So exponential x is still there. So exponential minus x is still there. So I'm going to have this times the first one to give you 2x raised to power 3. This times the next one to give you 4x squared. So minus 1 times this one to give you minus 2x squared. Minus 1 times this one to give you minus 4x. Okay? Then minus 2x squared exponential minus x. Then all over x minus 1 all squared. Now, if you look at the both of them, they have exponential minus x in common. So if I bring out that exponential minus x, I am left with this one, 2x cubed. These two people will give me plus 2x, then minus 4x, then minus 2x squared. So there is squared here. Okay? So like this, then all over s minus 1 all squared. You see that this and this is gone. So I am left with exponential minus x in bracket of 2x cubed minus 4x like this. Then everybody over x minus 1 all squared. And that is the final answer here. As simple as that. So I'm going to pause the video to write the next question, then we solve it. Okay, so this particular question says, suppose a big firm has the revenue function as this and the cost function as this one, then and a supply function of this, then I say we should calculate the profit function. Okay, the profit function solution. Now, remember that profit is set as what? Revenue minus cost. So the revenue here gave us 14q minus q cubed, okay, minus the cost here. The cost function is this q times q squared to give you q cubed. Q times minus 2 to give you minus 2q, like this, okay? So if I open the bracket, I'm having 14q minus q cubed. This again will give you another minus q cubed. This will now give you plus 2q. So this and this is gone. I am left with 14q plus 2q, which will give you 16q. Okay? So that is our profit function. As simple as that. Okay? So let me check if there is a problem somewhere, because okay, 14q minus, okay, this is very correct. Okay, so we move to the next one. So that is our profit function. So we move to the next one, and then the next one is but I'm thinking that this is squared, but let's check. Okay, it's cubed. So this is our profit function. So that is for question number 23. So question number 24 said price elasticity of demand when Q is equal to 8. Okay, price elasticity of demand. So price elasticity, we have the price to be this. So price elasticity is to get our dp dq. To get our dp dq here is giving us just 16. Okay, so now we know that price elasticity is something as what? dp dq times p is up here, so q is down, so q will be up and then p will be down. Okay, so this will now be equal to, this one give us 16 multiplied by, they say that when q is 8, so when q is 8 over, so if q is 8 here, our p will now be equal to 16 times 8. Okay, 16 times 8 to give us 16 times 8 to give us 128. 128. So our answer will give you 16. Okay, so it's giving us 1. As simple as that. It's giving us 1. So this time, this divided by this is still giving us 1. That is for question number 24. Because I don't have space, permit me to clean here to solve the next one. Are we still using price? So let me write out my price. My price is 16Q, in case we are going to use it. Okay, so we move to the next one, and the next one said the maximum price. The maximum price. To get the maximum price here, I think there's a typographical error here. I think that this revenue is supposed to be squared. This revenue is supposed to be squared. So let us use squared so that it will make sense. This is squared, sorry. And this is supposed to be squared. Okay? But if it is cube, let's just use the cube since I'm seeing cube there. But if it is square, it would have made more sense. Okay? So now, since it is cube, okay, so they say we should write the maximum profit. Now, to get the maximum profit, normally to get the maximum, we have to get the critical point. But in this case, we cannot get the critical point because we have that our P is just 16Q. And if you have that your P is 16Q, this time this is giving us, you sure I got it? No, sorry. Let's check again. Let's start afresh. Our R is equal to what? Our price is equal to R minus C. Okay, so our R is 14Q minus Q cube, then minus into Q cube minus 2Q. It's correct now. Oh, sorry. I was the one that made mistake. So this is equal to 14Q minus Q cube. This and this will give you another minus Q cube, then plus 2Q. Sorry, that's a mistake. So this will give you minus this will give you minus 2Q cube. Then this is plus what? 16Q. This is our profit. So this is our profit function. So this is for question number 23, our profit function. So the next one is elasticity, profit elasticity. Price elasticity. Price elasticity. Okay? So for the price elasticity, we are going to be getting for the price elasticity we have, okay, not profit elasticity but price elasticity. Sorry. For question number 24, price elasticity, first of all, you should know that revenue is equal to what? Demand multiplied by Q. Okay, revenue is demand multiplied by Q. So we need our demand. So to get our demand is simply revenue divided by Q, which is, what is our revenue? Our revenue here is what? 14Q minus Q cube divided by Q, which will give you what? 14 minus Q squared. Okay, this is our revenue. So to get our DD all over the Q will now be, that is minus 2Q. Okay, and when Q is 8, so it's now minus 2 into 8, which will give you minus 16. Okay, so we now have that our elasticity, in fact, our D here is the same thing as what? 14 minus that 8 squared. So which is what? A squared is 16. 14 minus 16 to give you minus 2. Okay, so we know that our elasticity is equal to what? dd over dq multiplied by q up, then d down. So this is equal to what? This one gave us minus 16 multiplied by q. Our q is 8. Then our d is minus 2. Okay, so we now have so minus, take care of minus. We have 16 times 8 divided by 2. So I have 64. So this is equal to what? 64. Okay, so let us now clean here so that we can now get our, so let me write our price down. Our price is equal to minus 2qq plus 16q. Okay, this is our price. So this is for question number 23 and 24, please. So the other one is not correct. So we'll go to question number 25. So for question number 25, we have to calculate the what? The maximum profit. So let us differentiate this. You know that the first thing is to get the critical point. And at critical point, the first derivative is 0. So we have that p prime will now give us, multiply by the power, remove 1 from the power, which is minus 6q squared, then plus 16. Minus 6q squared plus 16. So this is equal to 0. So therefore, we now have that what? 6q squared minus 16 is equal to 0. If I move everybody to this side, so we have that 6q squared is equal to 16. So q squared will now be what? 16 over 6. So q squared will give you the square root plus or minus of 16 over 6. So q will give you, so 16 divided by 6, then square root of my answer. I have 1 point, that is plus or minus 1.63. Okay, so but we are not going to take the negative because quantity cannot be negative. So we are taking only q to be what? 1.63. You know that this is plus and minus. So we are not taking the minus, we're only taking the plus because quantity cannot be negative. So the maximum profit will now be on our profit. P of this 1.63 will now give you, anywhere you see q, put 1.63. That is minus 2 into 1.63 raised to power 3, then plus 16 into 1.63. So do that and get your answer for the maximum profit. Use your calculator and tell me what the answer is in the comment section. So let us go to question number okay, this is for demand. Okay, price elasticity of demand. We have done that. So we're going to do price elasticity of supply. So let me clean this. Price elasticity of supply. So price elasticity of supply is from our supply. We have that our supply is equal to 1000 plus 10p minus p squared. So at p being equal to 30, price as 15, sorry. So we have that s is equal to 1000 plus 10 into 30 minus 30 squared. So if you do that, you have that our s is equal to what is our s? So press it. Our s gave us 925. You can cross check to check if it is correct. Okay, so we know that we need to get our ds dp, the sdp to give us differentiation of this is gone, differentiation of this is 10, differentiation of this is minus 2p. So which will give you 10 minus 2 into p is 30. Sorry, p is p 30 or 15? P is 15. So here is 15, not 30. 15 and 15, please. So 15 here to give you 30 minus it to give you minus 20. So our elasticity is the same thing as what? ds dp multiplied by s is down, p is up. So p will now be up, s will now be down. So if you do that, you have minus 20 is this one multiplied by our p. What is our p? They say our p is 15 over our s. Our s is what? 925. Okay, so if you do that, you are going to get your final answer. So do that. If you do that, you are going to get approximately minus 0.324. You can check it out by yourself. Okay, so that is that. So the last one is now question number 27. This is question number 26. So question number 27 is marginal supply. And I told that marginal simply means to differentiate. So from the supply, we need to differentiate. So the S, the P, which you have already even gotten as 10 minus 2P. And they say that P is now 30, which is what? 10 minus 2 into 30. So 2 times this is 60. 60 minus this will give you minus 50. So that is that. So thank you very much for watching. So we are going to pause to write the next question. Okay, so let's solve this last two for this particular video. So solution, the first one is question number 35, which said we should integrate x raised to power 2 plus 5x minus 3 all the x. Now integration is simply the opposite of differentiation. Remember I told you that in differentiation what we do is to multiply by the power, remove one from the power. I think they say we should find the y dx here. Okay, so in this case is what? Do the opposite. Add 1 to the power, divide by the new power. So we're going to have, we add 1 to the power, so we have x 2 plus 1 divided by the new power 2 plus 1. Okay, plus this one is 5x 1 plus 1 divided by the same 1 plus 1. This one is just to attach x to it. Then after doing everything, just put plus c for me. So this will now be x raised to power 3 over 3 plus 5x squared over 2 minus 3x plus c. And that is your answer. Very simple. So we go to the next one. So we want to find the y dx for the last one. Question number 38. Question number 38. So the y dx is simply, don't forget I told you, multiply by the power, remove 1 from the power. So here is just 6x. This one will give us just 6. Now differentiation of this one is just differentiate this 5x to give you minus 5. Use it and multiply everything. So minus 5 times minus 5 will give you plus 25. So you now put back your e raised power minus 5x. So just bring out this minus 5 and times this. Repeat everything. So that's just it. Now for this one is differentiate inside here to give you 3x squared only. Use it and multiply the differentiation of everything. So differentiation of this, you have what? 3x squared. That is for inside. Differentiation of sine something is cos that thing. So we have cos, that same thing, s cubed minus 2. As simple as that. So that is the answer. This is chain rule. And chain rule said, differentiate the bracket, differentiate everything. Differentiate the bracket, we have this one. Differentiation of everything is sine something, which will give you cos, that same thing. So watch my video on differentiation to understand very well. I have a full video on differentiation. So thank you very much and God bless you. May the peace of the Lord be with you. Bye-bye.